Fans are absolutely outraged right now, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. The WNBA just pulled a shocking move, bringing back the exact same referee crew from that infamous Lynx Mercury game fiasco. Yes, the very one that left the entire league in disbelief. And now, those same officials have been assigned to handle the Indiana Fever versus Las Vegas Aces semifinals clash. The situation feels even more outrageous considering this is Caitlin Clark's biggest playoff challenge so far. Many fans aren't just frustrated. They're openly calling it corruption and manipulation at the highest level. The question everyone is asking is simple. Did the league deliberately put these refs in place to tilt the outcome? Because if so, it's not just a bad look. It's malpractice that damages the integrity of the entire game. Look, I can take a loss like anyone else, but what went down out there was beyond frustrating. Our players were getting hit, cracked, and knocked around, and somehow there were no whistles, no accountability. Every ref had the same excuse. Not my call. Didn't see it. That's pathetic. Now, let's break down this mess because the WNBA has officially gone off the rails. They actually assigned Isaac Barnett, Randy Richardson, and Jana, the very same crew that completely botched the Minnesota game, to officiate the Fever versus Aces semifinal. That decision isn't just careless, it's reckless. It feels like a direct insult to every single fan already calling out the league for its incompetence and lack of fairness. So, let's get into it. And to start, we need to look at the one moment that lit the fire. The steal Alyssa Thomas made on Nafisa Collier late in the game. That single play didn't just shift momentum. It triggered all the chaos that followed. Fee is bringing the ball up the floor when Alyssa Thomas suddenly cuts across her body, swipes it clean, and then sprints the full length of the court for a layup on the other end. That play essentially sealed the win for the Phoenix Mercury in last night's game. But here's where the controversy really starts. I want to slow it down and show you the close-up. Shockingly, this was not called a foul. And honestly, I'm stunned at how many people online, even seasoned analysts and professionals, are insisting that this was perfectly clean defense. Their argument goes like this. When Thomas reached across, she got all ball first. If you pause the footage at the exact moment, it does look like she strips the ball without contact. On the surface, that seems fair. But when you study the angle more closely, the situation changes. Fee is moving straight ahead, while Alyssa is barreling across her path at a sharp angle. That's where the contact and obstruction come into play. And that's what makes this sequence far more questionable than people are admitting. Fee isn't full stride here. You can clearly see from the screenshot that her body is moving at top speed in one direction. Then, out of nowhere, Alyssa Thomas cuts straight across her path, colliding and disrupting her motion. That's the reality of the play. Now, let's rewind and revisit what actually went down in that Lynx Mercury matchup, because Cheryl Reeve didn't explode on the sidelines for no reason. She sat there and watched Alyssa Thomas physically dominate Nafisa Collier, shoving, bumping, hacking, yet not a single whistle came. No protection, no consistency, nothing. Collier literally limped off the court in visible pain, and the officials just stood by as if it was business as usual. And here's the real kicker. When Reeve finally had the courage to demand accountability for her players, the league didn't back her. Instead, she was slapped with a suspension and a fine, as if asking for fairness was some kind of crime. Her assistant was fined as well, and the entire coaching staff ended up punished simply for speaking the obvious truth. The officiating that night was flat out terrible. Cheryl Reeve even went on SportsCenter later to break it down further. During the segment, she was asked about the refereeing before the game. "Kendra, I believe it was your question," and her response was striking. She talked about how dangerous things become when officials refuse to step in. We've heard the same warnings from other coaches across the league. Even Becky has pointed out that when you allow unchecked physicality, players don't just compete harder, they start getting injured, tempers flare, and fights break out. And if this is truly the image the league wants to project to the world, then it's setting a reckless and damaging standard for the future of the WNBA. Fast forward to today, and the story takes an even wilder turn. Despite Caitlin Clark missing stretches of the season with injuries, the Fever somehow clawed their way into the playoffs. They became the league's lifeline, the spark that reignited interest in women's basketball. Every Fever game turned into must-watch television, delivering record-breaking ratings. Every arena they played in was jam-packed. Clark, alongside Boston and Mitchell, practically dragged the WNBA back into cultural relevance. So how did the league decide to reward that incredible momentum? By assigning the very same referees who already humiliated the sport with their incompetence. Fans aren't stupid, they see the pattern. These refs have developed a reputation for being inconsistent, petty, and downright reckless. And now they're in charge of Clark's most important playoff stage yet. That's not just poor judgment. It's reckless malpractice that jeopardizes the credibility of the league. And here's the proof. The Fever tried to play through the nonsense. They even made excuses. But think about this. One of the best players in the entire WNBA finished the game with 0 free throw attempts despite being hacked all night. She racked up 5 fouls herself, had her shoulder yanked, finished the game limping from a leg collision, and might even have a fracture. 0 free throws. That isn't just a missed call, that's a disgrace. And if this is truly the direction the league wants to take, then fine. But let's be honest, it's completely unacceptable. At this point, I'm ready to call for a full change-in. Leadership at the top of the WNBA. Because what we're watching right now isn't just a bad night of officiating. It's malpractice at the league level. Let's break it down with hard numbers from that Lynx Mercury game. Minnesota went 13 for 21 at the free throw line. On top of that, they own the glass with a +10 rebounding advantage. By every metric, that should have been enough to win. But they didn't. Why? Because the referees swallowed their whistles every single time Phoenix ramped up the physicality. Alyssa Thomas alone could have easily been whistled for a dozen fouls that night. Yet the officials looked the other way and let it slide. The result wasn't basketball, it was chaos dressed up as competition, sanctioned by the very league that's supposed to protect its players and its credibility. Collier limped off the floor in pain, Cheryl Reeve exploded on the sidelines, and the refs simply walked away untouched, without facing a single consequence. And now here's the unbelievable part. Those exact same officials are being trusted to manage Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell as they go head-to-head with Aya Wilson, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray. That's not just a bad look, it's malpractice. Plain and simple that we all saw Lexi Hull getting shoved around, elbowed, and roughed up the entire game. Fans have the receipts, too. Reporter Scott Agnes even confirmed it. The Fever Aces semifinal is being run by Isaac Barnett, Randy Richardson, and Jana, the same crew that already embarrassed the league. No adjustments, no accountability, just the league essentially saying, yeah, we know you hated those refs, but we don't care. And that's exactly why the word corruption is being thrown around. Because if the league actually wanted to tilt this matchup in favor of Las Vegas, this is exactly how they'd do it. Assign officials who have already proven they'll swallow the whistle. Punish coaches for daring to speak up, and let physical play spiral out of control. And when the Aces' entire style of basketball is built on physicality, we don't need to ask who benefits from that. But let's not act like this is some brand new issue. Fans have been complaining all season about the officiating, especially when it comes to Caitlin Clark. The problem isn't isolated. It's systemic, and it's dragging the credibility of the entire league down. She's been hacked, shoved, elbowed, and tripped with barely a whistle to protect her. Opponents are body-checking Caitlin Clark like it's a hockey game, not basketball. Instead of safeguarding the league's most valuable star, the referees simply look the other way. And when anyone dares to call it out, the response isn't reform, it's suspensions and fines. The situation has gotten so blatantly obvious that even casual fans, the ones who don't normally notice officiating, are starting to wonder if the league even wants Clark to succeed. That's how bad it's gotten. Rather than capitalizing on the once-in-a-generation Clark effect, the WNBA feels like it's sabotaging it, putting games in the hands of refs who don't seem remotely interested in fairness or consistency. And honestly, the irony here writes itself. The league claims it wants to grow the game. It runs glossy commercials begging fans to support the next generation of stars. And then, in the most-watched playoff run in years, they assign the single most hated referee crew to the league's marquee matchup. That's not growth, it's self-destruction, plain and simple. That's not just incompetence, it's pure self-sabotage. Think about what's at stake here. Fever versus Aces had all the ingredients to be the series of the year. Caitlin Clark, a second-year phenom rewriting record books, squaring off against Aya Wilson, the reigning MVP and the cornerstone of the Aces dynasty. Aaliyah Boston battling Wilson in the paint, Kelsey Mitchell matching up with Jackie Young on the perimeter. This had the makings of an instant classic, but instead of celebrating that star-studded clash, the entire conversation has been hijacked by officiating. Fans aren't debating strategy, rotations, or X's and O's. They're asking whether Clark will even survive the whistle swallowing. And that's just pathetic. It's a failure that falls squarely on the league. Now, let's get specific. Isaac Barnett has built a reputation for dishing out quick technical fouls, often for nothing more than frustration. If Clark so much as claps her hands after a missed call, tech. If Coach White questions a whistle with a little too much fire, tech. Meanwhile, on the other side, Aya Wilson can lower her shoulder and bulldoze Boston in the paint, and somehow it's play on, no call. This isn't balance, it's bias, and everyone watching can see it. Randy Richardson is the definition of inconsistency. One trip down the court, he's calling ticky-tack touch fouls. And the very next possession, it looks more like WWE wrestling with no whistle at all. There's no rhythm, no standard, just pure chaos. Then there's Jana, the third member of this crew, who fans have dubbed the invisible ref, because the moment a game gets tough, she flat out disappears. And these are the people the league trusts to run the semifinals? It's beyond a bad decision. It's malpractice. This isn't just some wild conspiracy theory. It's incompetence so blatant that it feels like corruption. Fans all over social media are blasting it because the questions practically ask themselves, how do you assign the same officials who just suspended a head coach? How do you claim to protect your product by relying on refs everyone despises? How do you ignore the voices of your own paying customers? The truth is simple. The WNBA doesn't care. They're betting that fans will keep watching no matter what. They think controversy drives ratings. But here's the reality. Controversy without fairness doesn't build excitement, it destroys credibility. And that brings us right back to Caitlin Clark, the league's brightest star caught in the middle of this officiating disaster. Caitlin Clark is only in her second year, yet she's already the biggest name in the entire league. She sells out arenas even on the road. She shatters ratings records every time she takes the floor, and she's single-handedly made casual fans tune in. And instead of protecting their most valuable star, the league is basically daring the refs to swallow their whistles all over again. Fans watched her get slammed, shoved, and hacked all season long. And now, in the playoffs, with the same exact officials, everyone already knows what's going to happen. Aaliyah Boston has been carrying an enormous load since Clark's injury. Kelsey Mitchell has stepped up as a consistent scorer. Lexi Hull has been grinding through pain to keep this team alive. The Fever have fought tooth and nail just to get here. And the league's big plan? Hand their playoff fate to the same three referees who already embarrassed the sport earlier this season. No wonder fans are furious. And let's not pretend there isn't favoritism at play. The Las Vegas Aces are essentially the WNBA's golden child. Vegas is the money market, the flashy dynasty the league loves to promote. So when fans see questionable officiating lining up perfectly with what benefits the Aces, it doesn't feel like coincidence. It feels like manipulation. The Aces have everything: glitz, celebrity ownership, superstar power, and the league clearly wants them back in the finals. Everybody knows it. So when fans see the exact same referees who already bailed them out in the past assigned once again, it doesn't read as coincidence. It reads as favoritism. And favoritism is poison. It destroys trust at the very core of sports. It's hard. Competition is supposed to be simple. You win or lose based on merit. But when the referees become the storyline instead of the players, fans stop believing in the product. And once fans stop believing, they stop showing up, they stop tuning in, and eventually, sponsors stop paying. That's the dangerous, slippery slope the WNBA is teetering on right now. Let's be real. Nobody turns on a playoff game to watch referees blow or swallow their whistles. Fans tune in to watch stars rise to the occasion, to see Clark battle Wilson, to witness Boston and Mitchell fight on the biggest stage. The league is gambling with its future by letting bad officiating overshadow everything that makes the game special. Fans don't show up to watch referees dictate the game. They come to see stars shine. They want to see Caitlin Clark bury logo threes. They want to see Aya Wilson and Aaliyah Boston battle like heavyweights in the paint. They want to watch Kelsey Mitchell cook defenders with her scoring arsenal. But instead of that spectacle, the refs have taken center stage, and that's the core problem. This isn't just about one blown call or one ugly game. It's about a clear, repeated pattern. The WNBA has made it obvious time and again. Certain players get protection, while others get hacked to pieces. Wilson gets the whistle. Clark gets elbows to the ribs. Breanna Stewart gets calls. Boston gets mugged in the paint. That double standard is driving fans insane. They're not blind, and they're not dumb. They can see exactly who the league is elevating and who gets left to take the punishment. Now imagine what happens if this same officiating crew directly tilts the outcome of the Fever Aces series. Imagine Indiana fighting tooth and nail only to lose a nail biter because of swallowed whistles or phantom fouls. The outrage would be nuclear, and the league wouldn't just be facing angry fans. It would be staring down a credibility crisis it may not recover from. Picture this. Mitchell's on fire from deep. Boston is battling like a warrior in the paint. Clark is drawing double teams every trip down. And then, out of nowhere, it happens. A phantom foul wipes Boston off the floor. Or Clark gets hacked across the arm with no whistle, leading to a fast break the other way. The energy shifts, the momentum dies. That's not basketball, that's manipulation. And fans aren't going to forgive it. We've already seen what happens when officiating crosses the line. After the Lynx game, Cheryl Reeve went nuclear, screaming at refs, cursing in frustration, blasting the league in her press conference. And how did the WNBA respond? Not with accountability. Not with an admission that the officials botched the game. No, they suspended her, the winningest coach in the entire league, for daring to speak the truth. And now, unbelievably, those very same referees have been assigned to Caitlin Clark's semifinal. That's not just bad optics. It's pure comedy, the kind of decision you couldn't script if you tried. And this is exactly why fans are furious. They don't just feel ignored. They feel like the league is actively working against them. Stacking the deck before the ball is even tipped. The Fever claw their way into contention, fighting tooth and nail to earn their shot. But instead of celebrating that story, the league tosses them straight into a buzzsaw of biased officiating. Vegas, the so-called golden franchise, keeps getting every benefit under the sun, while Indiana, the underdog that actually drives ratings and packs arenas, gets punished. It's completely backwards and fans can see it plain as day. And here's the kicker. People don't even want to see another predictable Aces finals run. Social media polls prove it. Watch parties prove it. Viewership trends prove it. Fans are exhausted with Vegas hogging the spotlight. What they actually want is fresh energy. They want Caitlin Clark raining logo threes, Aaliyah Boston battling in the paint, and Kelsey Mitchell torching defenders on the league's biggest stage. That's how you grow the game. That's how you hook casual fans and expand the audience. But instead of leaning into that golden opportunity, the league keeps doubling down on the Aces. And don't think fans haven't caught on. Just glance at the comments under every WNBA post. Words like rigged, corrupt, protect Caitlin, and refs are ruining the game flood the replies. And this isn't some small band of trolls shouting from the sidelines. This is the paying audience, the heartbeat of the league, and they're sounding the alarm louder than ever. These aren't just casual viewers complaining. These are the very people buying tickets, streaming every game, wearing jerseys, and fueling the league's momentum, and they feel flat out betrayed. It's gotten so toxic that even rival coaches are stepping in. Becky Hammon, of all people, head of the Aces, the team with zero incentive to defend Indiana, has openly blasted the officiating this year. That alone tells you how deep the frustration runs. When even the league's golden franchise is questioning the refs, you don't just have a controversy, you've got a crisis. And now here we are. The Fever walk into a semifinal where every whistle, every no call, every technical will be under the microscope. The second Clark gets body checked without a foul, fans will scream rigged. The moment Aya Wilson gets a soft call in the paint, the backlash will explode. That's the toxic environment the league built for itself by assigning this crew. An environment where the narrative isn't about basketball, but about whether the game can even be trusted. Let's dig into the root of this mess. Some chalk it up to favoritism, others call it incompetence, but the ugly truth is, it's both. The WNBA desperately wants Vegas in the finals because it's the league's shiny showcase market, dripping with money, celebrities, and glitz. But the league also suffers from a painfully thin pool of referees who simply can't handle the pressure of marquee playoff games. So what do? They recycle the same officials over and over, even when those refs have already blown calls that sparked outrage. That, right there, is a recipe for disaster. And here's the brutal irony. Caitlin Clark is the league's golden ticket. She's the one driving historic ratings, packing out arenas coast to coast, moving merchandise, and literally putting cash in the league's pocket. Yet instead of protecting their most valuable asset, the league is throwing her into a semifinal where she's set up to get hacked, shoved, and hammered with no calls. That's not just negligence, it's biting the very hand that feeds you. Now, let's break it down by player. Aaliyah Boston has been the anchor of this Fever squad all season long. She's gone toe-to-toe with Aya Wilson and proved she belongs in every MVP conversation. But just watch how these refs treat her. Wilson can throw elbows in the post, muscle through contact, and somehow it's Boston who gets whistled. That double standard has haunted her all year, and now it's about to be magnified on the biggest playoff stage. Kelsey Mitchell has flat out carried the Fever at times, dropping buckets when nobody else could. But because she's not one of the league's golden darlings, her drives into heavy contact rarely get rewarded. She'll take the same hit that Jackie Young takes, but instead of free throws, Mitchell gets silence. Meanwhile, Young practically breathes on a defender, and suddenly she's standing at the line. That kind of imbalance doesn't just hurt. It kills momentum, it drains trust, and it wrecks competitive balance in real time. And then there's Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest draw and most marketable star. Every arena she steps into sells out because fans want to see her shine. But instead, she's been hacked, shoved, elbowed, and knocked around relentlessly with barely a whistle to protect her. If the officials let that continue in the playoffs, it won't just be unfair, it will be a catastrophic embarrassment for the entire league. The refs flat out refuse to protect her. Instead, they watch as she's shoved to the floor, takes the hit, shakes it off, and just keeps grinding. Fans are beyond frustrated. They're not begging for superstar favoritism. They're simply demanding fairness and consistency. And this is exactly why conspiracy theories catch fire. When officiating looks this inconsistent, people naturally assume it's deliberate. And once fans start believing the league is rigged, you've already lost them. No slick ad campaign, no highlight reel, no amount of marketing spin can fix that broken trust. Now zoom out to the bigger picture. The WNBA has been riding an incredible wave of growth. Attendance records shattered, ratings soaring, merchandise flying off the shelves. This should be a golden moment for women's basketball. Yet instead of showcasing competitive, fair, high-level basketball, the league is allowing referees to dominate every headline. That's not just bad management, it's pure self-sabotage. No other major sports league on earth would allow this kind of disaster to keep happening. The NBA has its issues, no doubt. But when refs blow a call, at least they publish last 2-minute reports. There's transparency. There's accountability. The NFL? Constant controversies. But at least they rotate officiating crews to avoid bias and conflicts. The WNBA? They recycle the exact same refs who just caused chaos the week before. That's not professionalism. That's amateur hour. And here's the bottom line. Fans aren't asking for perfection. They're asking for trust. They want to know that outcomes are decided by players, not by whistles or swallowed whistles. Right now, they don't believe that for a second, and the league is doing absolutely nothing to change their minds. And here's the part that stings the most. This semifinal series could have been epic. Clark versus Wilson, Boston versus Young, Mitchell versus Gray. Star power everywhere you look. Two incredible teams battling for a spot in the finals. Instead, the storyline isn't matchups or strategy. It's which referee is going to screw up first. That's the tragedy. That's just flat out embarrassing. And let's be honest, if Vegas advances on the back of questionable officiating, nobody's celebrating. Fans won't cheer. They'll tune out. An Aces versus Mercury finals? Nobody's asking for that. Polls already show it. Watch parties prove it. Fans don't want another manufactured storyline. They want Clark. They want Boston. They want Mitchell. Because without them, the ratings tank. And deep down, the league knows it.so. Here's the bottom line. Assigning this crew wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal. A betrayal of players who deserve to compete on equal terms. A betrayal of fans who pour their money, time, and passion into this league. And most of all, a betrayal of the WNBA's own promise to grow the game. You don't grow a game by sabotaging its brightest star. You don't grow a game by recycling the very refs everyone knows are a problem. You grow the game by protecting fairness, by letting the best players decide the outcome. Until the league figures that out, the story won't be Clark versus Wilson. It won't be Fever versus Aces. The story will be simple. The WNBA chose corruption over competition. You don't grow by alienating your audience. You don't grow by sabotaging your stars. Fans are furious for a reason. They've seen enough. What they want is accountability. What they demand is fairness. They want the game back in the hands of players, not referees. And until the WNBA delivers that, every whistle will be questioned, every game will feel tainted, and every single fan will wonder if the league even wants them watching. And if you agree that this has to change, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video so more fans know what's really going on. Because if the league won't hold itself accountable, then it's up to us, the fans, to make sure our voices are heard.